Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Happy Monday, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
We're actually back now from the holiday. So last week we released an episode that had been recorded a long time ago but never released. Mm-hmm. And then now we're back. It is June 2021 where we are sitting.
Yes.
We are totally back. But that break did give Alison and I a chance to watch a really interesting show on Netflix that kind of inspired this episode, and we'll tell you about it in a minute. Also, kind of inspiring this episode is the amount of thought that I've been giving to some speeches and talks that I'm doing in the fall for conferences, thinking about, we're at this strange crossroads and how should we move forward? I think we need to move forward in a really positive way.
Yeah.
And so I've been giving that a lot of thought. Like, how can we create these cultures of strength-based and positivity? Because we're at this place where we can decide who we're going to be in early childhood, right? We can, everybody's building the plane as we fly it still. So we can become something even better than we were.
Right.
And then
strive for that, right?
And
we should always try to be better.
We should, you would think. Yeah. And then I watched a show on Netflix and recommended it to Alison. The show, if you have not seen it, listen to the rest of this podcast episode, but then head to Netflix if you have Netflix.
Yeah.
If you have Netflix, go there. It's called 100 Humans. Watch it, 100 Humans. There was, what they do is eye-opening. They have 100 humans and they do some social experiments to find out about us. Very interesting. One of the episodes was about praise versus criticism.
Yeah.
And I sat there triumphant, Alison, watching this, because I have for so long as a consultant said to teachers, you will get further with acknowledging the good in children than basically is criticizing or focusing on the struggles and the bad.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I literally was saying to my husband, I am triumphant as I was watching that episode. And
I was like, see, there it is. But I live by myself. So I'm talking to myself. I'm like, there's proof right there.
But we've known the power of acknowledgement from educational theory and from observations of children for a long time. But here's the thing. I think we kind of know about children that we have to say what we see and acknowledge the good and all that stuff. But I question whether we do that with the adults in the setting.
I agree with that. I question that because I don't think that's always happening in every setting, and certainly not as often as we do it for children. I
wonder why that is. Why is it that when we're young, we realize we need to build children up by acknowledging what's good and just going from there? But then when we become adults, everybody's like, well, forget that. We're just gonna
it doesn't make sense. Let's pick on people. I don't know why that is.
I think we have to think long and hard about our conversations, not only with children, but with our coworkers, with the people who work for us and with the people we work for. And I think that we need to really, really be thinking about, am I coming from a strength-based place with you as well? Am I going to start with acknowledging what is good and what I find beneficial about your presence here and build from there? Or are we looking for things to criticize? Now, I know that so many administrators will say to me, particularly when we talk about evaluating staff, I'm looking for what's good. I'm not looking to criticize. And that might be your intent, but it doesn't always come across that way.
That's true. I only know in my evaluations, and I don't know if it's just the style of my current boss or not, or something that she is required to do, is that she will point out all the good, but then always has here's how you could have improved it. And you know what I focus on? That part that she criticized, not the but she found 30 things that I did great, but that one thing that she found wrong, I will focus on that for months and be like, oh, see, I'm just not good at it. You know what I mean?
Even the word wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I'm qualified, as are many professionals in early childhood, to observe people trying to receive their child development associate credential, the CDA, which is administered through the Council for Professional Recognition in Washington, D.C. So they have people like me who are qualified, who we are told, okay, you can go in and observe people and make recommendations to the council about who should get this credential. Okay, so the system for doing that, I think, is probably one of the more strength-based systems that I have seen. We go in with the notion that this person's going to be great. Isn't that different than any observation than you've ever had as a teacher? Like, it feels like when people come to inspect a place, when people from higher authorities come to inspect, that they're looking for what's wrong. I know as a teacher, I often felt that administrators are coming in looking for what's wrong. I always have to tell my child development associate credential students, such a mouthful, I have to tell them, people seeking that credential, that actually we're all here rooting for you, that when we go in to do these observations, we go in with the notion that you're going to be great. They can't even relate to that. So what does that tell you about how they perceive any observation has been? Because when I say, no, we're rooting for you, we go in thinking you're going to be awesome. And they're like, what? What does that tell you about their, right? They go, no, you're looking for what's wrong. And in fact, when we sit and talk with them afterwards, the conversation, we can ask questions, we can point out good things. We are only allowed to point out one area for growth. And when we point out that one area for growth, it is treated that way. Here's an area for growth. Consider what you could do. Consider what can you do to learn more about this?
I also like that terminology, because for me, saying area of growth sounds like, oh, there's already the seed planted in me. I just have to make it grow. Because I like that word better than here's how you can improve. Like, because that makes me feel like, oh, I was really bad at it and I need improvement. But it was like the area of growth makes it seem like, oh, I already have that in me. I need to just water the plant to make it grow, kind of thing. Like that. It seems like a more positive way of saying it, rather than the other way, even though they mean the same thing, it just seems more positive.
All learning is a process, right? There's a continuum. So you can be anywhere on that line of the continuum. All learning, child or adult, is a process. So every adult is somewhere in their skills. It may not be as high a level as we wish to see, but everyone is somewhere. So in fact, everything is an area of growth. Unless you are not breathing anymore and you're not alive anymore, then there are no areas of growth.
Then you have other issues.
Other than that, you're right. You have other things to worry about. There's always, you are somewhere. It's kind of like when we use these tools to evaluate student progress, and teachers will say to me, the child can't do it. And I'm always like, no, the child is somewhere in the process of learning to do it. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about with finding the good, acknowledging the good, praising the good, find the good. The child is somewhere in the process of learning this, even if it's in the first beginning steps. And this, therefore, is an area of growth.
And you would never say to the actual child, you're right, you can't do this. You can't, you would never say that to them. I wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. But then when you talk to adults about the same situation, the same child, you tell them, oh, see, they can't do it. Why? Be like, no, they're just not there yet. They're not there yet. Let's do this to get them there. I don't understand why it flips.
If we approach adults with the notion that this is an area in which you could grow, and I believe in your growth, right? So we're creating then a culture of acknowledgement and growth.
Yeah.
And when we start at that top level and we create a culture of acknowledgement and growth for our staff, then we have modeled how to do that for children. Because again, Albert Bandura, the theorist Albert Bandura, taught us the power of modeling.
Yeah.
People do what they see. People do what they have experienced, not what we tell them to do. Period.
Period.
I could sit with a teacher from now till doomsday saying, here's the positive strength-based way that you should be talking to children. But unless they have that same experience as a member of the staff in that school, they're not doing it. Because if they are in a situation where they are not looked at from a strength-based place, then guess what? They don't have the model for it. Yeah. They're not doing it.
And they're also probably in this negative mindset, and when you're in this negative mindset because you're not in a positive work environment, negativity breeds negativity, so you're just going to keep being negative because why be positive? This whole place is not positive, so it's just positivity breeds positivity and negativity breeds negativity. So you're just going to pass it. You're just going to filter it down and pass it down to the next level down, which is for us as the kids, and that's not a good thing.
So the title of this episode has the word or some form of the word motivation in it, right? Yeah. Motivate. Yeah. So some form of the word motivate. And you're thinking, but they're talking about acknowledgement and praise, but acknowledgement and praise is what motivates people, not criticism. Criticism is like punishment. Punishment has a short-term impact. It doesn't have impact over the long term. And it actually has negative effects over the long term. Criticism is the same. Criticism has a short-term impact on people, but it reaps negative long-term results because it eats away at our confidence and it eats away at our thoughts of what we can do. It's really one of the reasons why, as an author, I don't read my reviews because it will eat away at the possibility of anything else I could produce if I take that to heart.
Yeah.
I have put out in the world the best I knew how. Yeah. And however it lands, it lands.
Yeah. And you should still be proud of all the work that you put into that, no matter what somebody thinks. Right? Because I feel like that kind of gets the adults a lot. We're constantly worried about what other people think of us because we're in that like kind of, this
whole episode on how not to do that. But
yeah, I know. Right. But I feel like it matters, it matters. So if you can like shut that out, like Cindy does with the critics of her book, then do that because it will eat away at your confidence. They even show that in that episode on Netflix, The 100 Humans, where the woman really knows how to do this one thing and she's proud of it. And then they're like, yeah, but you know what? You were terrible at it. And then she's like, I'm not even going to bother anymore.
You all have to watch it.
You have to watch it.
Amazing experiment. You probably by now could guess which came out on top, the praise or the criticism, but go watch it because the experiment itself is amazing.
It's amazing.
And it just speaks volumes about what we need to do with everyone around us.
It really
and I'd also like to interject that I really didn't get a lot of criticism about the book, maybe a little bit, but not a lot. No, so I think that people who have experienced a great deal of criticism and who dive into that, it's just not motivating.
Well, it seeps into every aspect of your life, right? So like when you have been really criticized in whatever it is, if you're really criticized at your work or you're really criticized in a relationship or you're really criticized by your parents, it will paralyze not just that part of your life, but your entire life, because then you start having these doubts of like, well, I'm not really good at my job because my boss doesn't like the performance I did. So maybe I'm not good at this either, or this and this, and it just spreads. It spreads. But if you get praised at your job, you're like, hey, I'm really good at that. Maybe I can go out and do something else and be good at that. It's like it all breeds each other. You know what I mean?
Because if you say to people, here's all the things that I just treasure about having you here as an employee, as as a coworker, here are the things that I really treasure. And then we present them with an area of growth. They're far more apt to do it, to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do to improve that area because I am so valued here. And it's the same for children. I am so valued here. I have such value as a member of this class that I'm going to try hard when they ask me to do things, because I am so valued as a member of this classroom team.
Right.
People need to know that they're valued. And that's really the bottom line. Your
Yeah.
efforts are valued. Your efforts matter. And it's a sad shame that so many generations of people were raised with the belief that criticism is how you go, negativity is how you go, but it's really not the truth.
No.
And what we need to do is create cultures in our schools. Always, schools have a culture. You know, I'm somebody who goes from school to school to school, early childhood setting to early childhood setting to early childhood setting. I'm in many different settings, and they all have their own individual culture, even within the same organization. I work with some organizations that have multiple locations. Every location has its own personality, and every location has its own culture. Part of what I do is try to create an overall culture. Part of the work that I do with bigger organizations is to create an overall culture. And it's really hard to do because every place has its own thing. If you're going to think about the culture of your early childhood setting, you need to think about a culture of acknowledgement and praise, positivity and growth. That's what we want. We want people to know they are valued and that we believe in their growth. Because I would love for the day to come when I look at CDA credential students and I say to them, when you're observed for this credential, everybody's on your side. They go in with the notion that you're going to be great, and have them not shocked at that, uncomfortable with that, or not know what to do with that.
Well, it makes you feel better. I only know this because I recently started a grad school program. And one of the first things that they said to us is like, we want you to succeed. We want you. We are here for you to help you succeed. If you hit a snag on anything, do not hesitate to reach out to us. But if they had not maybe said that, if they're just, you're just typical critical people that you think because you're so used to being criticized, you'd be like, oh man, I'm not even going to ask that question because I don't want them to think I'm stupid. You know what I mean? But really now I have no problem asking them anything because I'm like, wait, they're not against me. They're with me. You know what I mean? And that makes a difference.
That sentence that you said, that I want you to succeed. Interesting. I just used that sentence this week with a college student, and I'll tell you the story in a second. But how many times have people looked at you and sincerely said to you, I want you to succeed. I'm here to help you to succeed. What do you need from me?
See, I just heard it maybe 3 weeks ago. And that was maybe one of the first times in my life that somebody actually said that to me.
How sad is that? Even to say to people, I'm here to help you succeed. That's why one of my roles here is to help you do that. Yeah. So you tell me what you need. If we were to look at staff members and say, here's an area for growth for you. Now tell me what you need me to do to help you to grow in that area. What a difference that is than saying to somebody, here's an area of growth. Now go figure out how you can improve.
Go figure it out.
Or to say to them, here's how you improve it. Instead, saying to them, what do you need from me as their director or principal or their supervisor or whatever. So here's my brief college student story. I have a college student right now with a challenge. She's reading is a real challenge. I give this person a whole bunch of credit. She's not the first student I've ever had who said reading was a challenge and told me right up front in the beginning of a class. So I'm actually voice recording a lot of things for her. And I said, I'm willing to audio record things for you if you need it. Let me know. This is something I had never really thought about in the past. And someone recently said to me, a colleague recently said something about having audio recorded something for one of her students, having to do with directions for something. And I said, I would audio record whatever they want, whatever announcements are sent to them, whatever emails, whatever. So I said to the student, if you would like, I can audio record things. And she said, would you actually do that? And I said, I'm here to help you succeed. Again, it was like shocking to her.
Right. Because most people will be like, that's too much work. Figure it out on your own.
What's the big deal? I'm reading an email out loud and sending you a recording. What's the big deal? It takes me minutes. I want you all to think about it. I want you to think about creating a culture that leans on praise to motivate people and leans on us as people who can say, how can I help you to grow in this area?
Yeah.
because just going in and saying this is no good, well, then they're going to do that with students, and students are going to feel defeated. We're going to have yet another generation of people with no confidence in their own abilities. So let's not do that. Let's create this wonderful, positive culture. Even as somebody, if you're a newer, I know that there's, oh my gosh, just a lot of career movement now, but even if you're newer in an administrative position, to go into people and say, here's the mission and the vision, and this is the mission and vision we're going to reach toward. Now you tell me what you need to help you get there.
Yeah.
What would support you? I'm not saying I can give you everything you name. I'm not saying that. I'm saying give me the feedback and we'll figure out a bit at a time how I can help you, because I see good in you and I think that you can grow in your career, and I want to help you do that. Whether it keeps you here or not, I want to help you do that.
Right. I also think it helps to say it like that. What do you need for me to help you is different than be like, here's what you need to do. Because what Cindy does might not fit into my life and how I like to do things, but great that you think that your way is the only way. But when you say it, tell me what you need, it kind of puts the ball on like, wait, let me actually think about what I need and what will help and benefit me. And then you're forming your own plan with someone else's help instead of just following their plan. And I think having your own plan gives you more ownership over it. And therefore you'll be more willing to succeed and do it and follow and meet the goals and whatever it is that, because you created it.
That
and
approach
it's okay
is something,
to get help.
but
with
that
it.
approach is something I think that people who administer programs you learn it over time. You learn how to talk to people over time. So here we give it to you. Having watched 100 Humans on Netflix, we're handing it to you. And again, if you really want to see some interesting human reactions to things, go to the Netflix and find that show.
If you want to learn a little bit about yourself too, because you can kind of play along with some of these things. And some of the stuff that I learned about myself was shocking in a way, but makes me now think differently about it, and I didn't know that about myself before watching it. So it was really cool.
If you do watch that show, please let us know your thoughts about it. And let us know this. Yeah. There are many episodes of that show that speak to our work in the world of early childhood. I would love to know which ones you think speak to our work in early childhood. And I feel like this was a long episode, so we're going to let you go now.
Yeah, sorry. But
I don't know. Hey. But we weren't with us truly last week, so whatever. There you go.
You got your double fill.
And then we'll get back on track. Yes. All right, folks, have a wonderful week.
Yes, you.
If you are at the beginning of your week with us.
I was going to say you too, but you're still with me, Cindy.
Yeah, I know. All right. We will catch you next time on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.